I'm Gauri Maheshwari, and I'm Hindu. I would define religion as the study of the spirit and of how everything came to be. Hinduism is a monotheistic religion. It believes in one God that is all-pervasive, both immanent and transcendent. We believe in karma, which is the universal law of cause and effect. We believe in rebirth, in reincarnation, and eventually, once we have become perfected, we'll achieve moksha, where we'll merge with God. We believe in dharma, which is the necessity of righteous living, of living and seeing God within everybody, and doing our duty to society. We believe that every religion is valid, that the passion within each religion is what's important and not what name they call the God. The soul is essentially one with Brahman already. We just don't know it yet. We have this veil of Maya, or illusion, which gives us the idea that we are separate from God. Once we have achieved enlightenment, then we will merge with God like a drop of water into the ocean. So we have a little spark of God within us, and that is called the Atman. We have a lot of sacred texts. We have the Vedas, which are the most important texts. They came from the rishis, or the seers, in ancient India. When they were meditating, they heard the voice of God, and they heard the voice of God, and they spread the word. And it finally became written down after thousands and thousands of years. We also have the epics like the Mahabharata, which has the Bhagavad Gita in it. And those capture the essence of what the Vedas are about and bring it to a level that everyone can understand. We have the Upanishads, which were written by saints in the forest. They would go alone and meditate and write down what they thought and what they felt. And those are deeply mystical and spiritual and require a lot of study. The Ramayana has Ram and Sita and Hanuman, who show us how to be good people. And it applies in every era. The stories are so universal that whenever we have a problem, we can just look to that text. It's huge, so it will touch on anything that we need to know. And it'll give us guidance on what we should do and how we should behave. Unlike the Western religions, we do not believe in an intrinsic evil. Hinduism doesn't have an eternal heaven and hell. It has states of being where karma is burned off, either good or bad, and we're reborn once it equalizes. Karma can go into your next incarnation or 100 incarnations after that. There is no place that non-believers will go. If you have faith, then you're a good person, then you achieve good karma. In Western religions, the universe is created once and we will be destroyed once. In Hinduism, the universe is constantly being created, preserved, destroyed, and recreated. There is no heaven or hell. Everyone has one path, and that is towards God. Each person will have different bumps in the path. Some may take more lifetimes to achieve it. But no person, no soul, will be denied oneness with God. Hindus do not try to convert people into their faith usually. We believe that every faith is valid, and if you want to be a Christian, if you believe in Jesus, then that is perfect. We don't want to take you away from that. So there are obviously always going to be radicals who say that this is the only way. But as a general rule, Hindus do not believe that any other religion is wrong. And so we won't force anybody into our religion. We do allow people to convert on their own will. It's a very personal thing, a spiritual thing. There is no formal conversion. It's if you believe you are a Hindu, then you are a Hindu. So a lot of people like to change their name, like me, to symbolize their new faith or the faith that was always there, just not realized. So that is very much a personal thing and not required. Well, I was raised Catholic and I never really connected with it. So I was spiritual for a really long time. And I was reading about all of the different religions to see if I fit into any of them. And once I started reading about Hinduism, my mind just opened. I was like, wow, I believe this. This is amazing. I didn't think anybody else really believed what I believed. So I kept reading and reading and reading. And after about a year or two, I decided to go to temple. It was really scary because, I didn't know what to expect. But everyone there was so nice, and I've been going ever since. It's nice to have a place where you have a community that is so similar to you in such important ways, like what you believe in. Just to worship with people, it brings a new level to spirituality. There's one thing to do puja at home, but to do it with such passion around other people with such passion, there's nothing quite like it. There are a lot of misconceptions about Hinduism. One is that we are polytheistic. We do believe in one God that takes many different forms. And once you get to learn more and more about Hinduism, it becomes really apparent. We also don't worship idols necessarily. We do understand that that is a stone, and somebody carved it, and it's just a stone. But we need those tools to help us conquer our mind. Our mind wanders incessantly. So during the puja, we have something to concentrate on. We have something to shower our affection on. It's hard to develop this love within you for God when you have no place to really put it. You're just like, I love you. So we do that, and also the bells ringing helps focus us and clear our mind. Loud noises just kind of point the mind towards what it's supposed to be doing, and the incense puts us in a good mood. So it's all of the stuff that we do, all of the rituals we do are tools to help us find God within ourselves. It's all about oneness, all about being part of that supreme Brahman and realizing that both within yourself and within others. And by doing that, everything else will fall into place. If you see God within everything, you'll act right. You'll do the things that you need to do. The afterlife. Well, when you die, depending on your karma, what you did during your life, you will get reborn higher as a human, which would be great, or lower as some sort of animal or plant, or even just a human in less fortunate circumstances. And it all just depends on what goals you need to achieve. If you need to realize humility, then you'll be placed in a life where you understand what it's like to be lower, and you realize the equality of everybody. So there's not really a heaven and hell. Your karma burns out mostly in this life. The things that you go through will get you better or worse karma. And it is possible to burn off karma between lives, but heaven and hell aren't really a big part of Hinduism. And once you have evolved and have become enlightened, then you merge with God. Well, Hinduism is very much a way of life rather than just a religion. It comes into every aspect of your being, what you think, how you feel, what you do. It's made me very humble when I realize that God is both within me and that rock and that piece of grass and that little bug. I am so thankful for everything, and it makes me a kinder, gentler person, since ahimsa, or nonviolence, is such an important part. So the main deities in Hinduism are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu the sustainer, and Shiva the destroyer, dissolutioner. They all have their counterparts, which are the feminine, powerful aspects, namely Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Parvati. And those are the most well-known Hindu gods. But there are also really important ones that aren't. But there are also other ones that are important as well. Ganesha is extremely important in every Hindu's life, as he removes the obstacles for worship, for becoming a better person, for evolution. He is that connection that we have to God. Krishna and Rama and the other incarnations of Vishnu remind us what it is to be a good person. So it's not just anthropomorphic Vishnu out there somewhere. It's a concrete idea and an ideal that we can emulate in our lives. The planets are also really important in a lot of Hindus' lives, as they are believed to have a direct influence on our daily experiences. So worshiping the planets and the massive amounts of energy that they are is important. How would I characterize God? At its essence is Brahman. God is not characterizable. He is without attributes, without form, totally beyond our perception. Our tiny little human brains can't understand it. If I was to describe the different deities that God has formed, I could do that. Ganesha has a great sense of humor. He's gentle and easy to please. Vishnu is full of love and compassion, and Shiva is strong in the most soft ways, if it makes sense. He's like water that wears away the stone. He is so flexible that it's powerful. God takes different forms depending on which job he has to do. So like a man can be a husband, a father, and a fireman. He's the same man, but is called by different things depending on what he does. And so that's what God is like when he's Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva. Why do I believe in God? I've never really given it thought about why. I feel it's kind of self-evident to me. And I know to a lot of people it isn't rational, but in my mind it makes total sense how nothing could become something, how all this science forms what we are, how little atoms stick together and form you and me. And everything I see and experience and learn just solidifies that belief that there's something. Now, why Hinduism? I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong. But it connects with me, and I just believe it. There's something unexplainable about that connection with you and God. My religion is important to me because it is the essence of life. It is the essence of what I'm doing here and why I'm doing it. It gives me purpose in what I accomplish, whether it's something little like getting a good grade on my test or something big as in like changing the world in some sort of way. Hindus worship at the temple and at home in their little mandirs, their little puja rooms. Temple is a place where Hindus can come together and worship together. And it becomes more powerful when you have all of those people with all that love around you. It's almost contagious. And we treat God like a king at temple. We perform abhishekam, which is a bath of all the sweetest liquids we have. We give him our best food and our best flowers. We give him incense and chant his names, and that helps us to bring out that devotion that is within us, bring out that connection to God. And when there's other people there, the vibrations are just stronger and stronger. And at home, we can't go to temple every day. Some do, but religion and worship is important every day. And so we'll have something at home, whether it's simply just putting a flower on the Lord or saying, namaste, and keeping that within your mind all day. Or when you're cooking and you just repeat the name of God, that in itself is worship. Or holding the door open for somebody who has their hands full. That's worship. When you keep, I see God in that person. I'm going to treat that person like a God. That is worship, and it's perfect. A puja is where we treat God as best we can to show our devotion. How can you really express how much you love somebody? You do it through action, and so that's what we're doing. We have the murti, the idol, that we can focus our devotion to, and we treat it as best we can with all the, the bells and whistles to help us get that devotion out. And a puja is where we focus our devotion to God. And it can be in any form. It can be simply, chanting God's name with incense or flowers. It can be 3-hour long, mantras and bhajans and different hymns. It can be full abhishekam or just a simple light going around. It takes whatever form the devotee needs it to be, because the puja is really there for the devotee it's a structure for us to worship with. There is no structure of leadership in Hinduism. We don't know who the founder was, if there was a single founder, and there's not really an authority that you go to answer questions or anything. Since there is no dogma of things that you need to believe, no one's really telling you what is right and what is wrong. So you take from the scriptures what you want to take, leave what you don't believe, and that's fine. And if you want to be a priest, you only have your authority to go on. People will have to trust you so you can get a job, but no one can tell you what to believe or what to do, or if you can be a priest or if you can't be a priest. The role of the priest is to take care of the idols, the deities, and also to perform the pujas and the abhishekams. He or she chants the Vedas, different excerpts from the Vedas, the mantras and everything. They know what they're doing, and they know the mantras have vibrations, and so they bring with those mantras great vibrations into the area. And they also know, how to, they're pure inside. They've done practices that have made them more pure, and that makes them fit to do, all these different things. What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is to evolve. And, well, God has refracted into so many colors, and he is painting a masterpiece. So, just as a painter makes changes to the piece and grows on it and builds on it until it's perfect, so do we grow and change and build on ourselves until we're perfect as well. And once we become perfect, then we can go to God. And the meaning behind all this is God's divine dance, his divine play. Since we are essentially God, ask yourself, why are you here? Because it's fun. The only true thing is God. Oh man, what is truth? We don't really know what the truth is, honestly. We try to know, and we get really close to it, but there is no one truth. The truth is different for everybody in different situations. The truth for me 10 years ago is different from the truth to me now, but they're both still the truth. There is no one truth. The truth is different for everybody, and it's constantly changing. My truth and your truth are different, yet there is still the truth, and there can't just be one truth in the universe. There's one that comforts me.
That's great.
It's actually not a scripture, it's from a hymn, and it's Chandrasekhara Mashtraye Mama Kim Karishyati Vayamaha, which means, I take shelter in Shiva, so what can death do to me? And any time that I'm scared or lost or anything, I just remember that even death, that touches every single one of us thousands and thousands of times, can't even touch me. So why am I worried about any of this? It was more of a gradual process, but when I attended my first Abhishekam, it was Lakshmi, I remember, and there was just this energy, this feeling, that was just like, I am where I belong. And it's not really explainable, and it had no trigger, really. But I just remember thinking, I'm at home. I found it. Ooh, this is a tough one.
Kind of talked about this.
Yeah. Men and women in Hinduism. In the religion itself, there is no difference. In the culture of Hinduism, there can be a difference, especially when you go back. It changes over time. The role of women and men in Hinduism in the very beginning, right when the Vedas were being composed, there was no difference. Then after the Muslim invasion, everyone wanted to protect their women, so they stayed in the house, and the men went out and fought. That created a culture where there was a separation between men and women, that the women had this place, they needed protection from this outside force, and it became common to think that women weren't powerful anymore, which is totally opposite from Shakti. The very meaning of the word, the feminine, is power. So when we think about men and women in Hinduism, there is a big divide between what is really their purpose, and their purpose is being human no matter what gender they are, and what people think from what their fathers and their fathers' fathers taught them. So now we're trying to get rid of this old view on gender and the roles of gender because it's outdated. We don't need it anymore. We've changed and we've grown. It might have had a purpose back when. Good job, by the way. They might have had a purpose back when, you know, there were things to protect their women from, but nowadays there's just no reason for it anymore. And almost every Hindu would agree that women and men are the same. Okay. There are always going to be radicals who, you know, take things and bend them and say women meant for here, women can't touch the idols, women can't read the books, women can't do this and that and this and that. But that has no foundation in the Vedas, in any of the scriptures. That has no basis. The bindi is where there's the chakra, which is the eye of spiritual insight. And there are a lot of theories about how it came, like how the bindi came about. Some say that we wanted to keep the bindi cool, or that area cool, because it would create clearer flows of energy. Also, when you see the bindi on somebody, you remember they have God within them. I have to treat them like they have God in them. And so it reminds you that that person is not just something, that is someone. And it creates that respect. It also is just a symbol of, like, we believe in the same thing. Okay. The end goal to Hinduism is moksha, liberation from life and death, and merging with God, which is the most delightful thing there could be. Well, that varies. I've had great experiences with every religion, also negative experiences with every religion. It doesn't really seem to matter which religion I'm talking to. It's if they're extremists or not. There are a lot of Christians that I know that don't really see a difference between us. That we're two people that have a religion, that believe in God, that spread peace and love. And so that's great. And there are other people who say, you're wrong, you're a pagan, you know, you're all these bad things. Satan has captured you into his claws.
If Satan has claws.
If Satan has claws.
Good metaphor, though.
Thanks. And so it really depends. I don't see any relationship between which religion I'm talking to, and I've had great experiences with a lot of people and bad experiences with some people.
Okay.
The caste system had the purpose of dividing labor between the society to get everything done that needed to be done. But also it wasn't really as rigid as we would think of it as. It's more, are you a warrior at heart? Are you, a strong person who wants to fight and protect? If so, then you're going to be a kshatriya. You're going to go and fight. But if he has a son, and that son is scrawny and brainy, you're not going to send him out into the field. You're going to make him a Brahmin so he can go and learn. So it was very much plastic. That's not the right word. It was very much fluid. It was very much fluid in the beginning, and it depended a lot upon your soul, what kind of spirit you had, and what your desire was. If you have a passion about something, you're going to do it a lot better than if you don't. Yes, because we all have truths in our religions, and we also all have man-made things in our religions. So, you know, we interact with people of all religions every day. We need to know how to respect them, how to relate to them. And it's also just common courtesy, really. And religions in Hinduism, it doesn't matter what religion you are. So why not learn about them? I think a big thing that I want people to take away from this is that Hinduism isn't what a lot of people think it is. It's very much similar to the other religions, and it's very deeply spiritual. We don't worship idols. We're not polytheistic. And there isn't anything wrong with being polytheistic. Just to remember that it's a religion of respect, and don't judge it.